get a wireless mic to you. We're going to start in the front with John Newby, please.
John Newby, NBC Sports. So Ross, I know it's been a minute since you've gotten a top 10 on a true short track like Richmond, Bristol, Martinsville. I was just curious, what's the state of the short track setup over there at Trackhouse right now?
Evolving. Yeah, I mean, following Larson up here to the podium's about like on track. I feel like I follow the Hendrick cars around. So, we're working on it. We're not staying complacent. We're coming with different packages and trying to find what works. We've had glimmers of hope, but not sustained competitiveness and speed. And if it's good in the race, we're not good in qualifying, or vice versa. So we're working. We're changing springs and shocks and whatever we can to try to get what I need to go faster, and Daniel as well.
We're going to come back up to the front with Lee, please, and then followed by Davey and then Jermaine.
Lee Spencer, CatchFence.com, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Kind of a two-parter. Do you feel like the majority of the garage where we had so much, equity among the teams when the new car came out, that some of the bigger organizations have kind of gotten out in front? And the second part of that is, if you were qualifying better, do you think you'd have better results at this point of the season?
I don't think anybody has a clear upper hand. I feel like we could have won Vegas if I don't speed on pit road. We put ourselves in position to gain the spots we're not getting in qualifying. But what was the second part of your question?
Do you think if you're qualifying better, that your results would be better at this point of the season?
Right. I mean, it just makes everything so much easier, and it just means that you had a car that you could make speed in on Saturday or Friday or whenever you're qualifying. We're not trying to go out and drive slow in qualifying. I'm trying, and I'm usually sliding because I've tried too much. It's not often that I qualify bad because I underdrive. So trying to find that balance. But yes, it's going to help your weekend, pit selection, everything. These are the best of the best drivers and teams in the world, and it's just not easy to drive by them.
Let's go to Davey.
Davey Siegel with Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. The new MotoGP team that Trackhouse has debuted is just kind of the next thing in what's been a long line of new, innovative, fresh ideas that Justin and his group have brought to the table. Have you paid much attention to that at all? I mean, what do you think about your guys' organization spreading their wings internationally and doing something like that?
Not surprised. It's what Justin's vision, what he told me the first time he told me the word Trackhouse before it was ever a thing, before they ever ran a race or anything. And then when I got brought in to drive, obviously as the second driver, there was more talks about what's next. I kind of thought, wow, he bought CGR, right? He acquired that and everything Chip had built, and that was going to be our foundation. And I was kind of locked in on like this big thing, and Justin sitting across from a campfire with me one night just looked at me and was like, "That's nothing, brother. Just wait." And so no, I haven't gotten too zoned in on it. I'm going to get to meet those guys. They're coming over to the shop this week. Have a little Trackhouse Tuesday and have them there. We got some bikes out in the lobby with our cars as well, and I'm excited to get to meet them face to face. We've done some videos back and forth, but no, nothing. Not too locked in. I don't understand anything about their motorcycles. I was looking at a bike we had at Daytona, like a show bike, I guess, but I honestly couldn't tell if it was a real bike or like a show car, like we have old cars. I couldn't tell if it was an old chassis, old brakes, like that's what we would put together in NASCAR, but I couldn't tell if this thing was just made to look like a bike or if it was a bike. It could be I had no idea. So I have some questions for the riders to learn more about it.
Would you have any interest in riding one? No
chance. Not even second seat. I've seen Ben Kennedy was showing me some stuff. He's ridden back seat with a guy. They did they're on one wheel on the straightaways going forward. They're on one wheel slowing down. No, not at all. It's way too fast, and I don't like to be out of control. So at least if I'm driving, I'm going to crash into something. I get to hold the wheel.
We're going to go to Jermaine and then up in the front with Zach.
Jermaine Farrell, WFXR, Roanoke, Virginia. A couple of questions for you, Ross, real quick. Number one, obviously, there's a lot of history of Martinsville. You put your name in Martinsville history with the Hail Melon. How often are you asked about it? How often do you think about it? That's part one of that part of it. And then number two, obviously, next week, you have the Texas Motor Speedway race there. Your thoughts about that track and just your feelings about racing in Texas.
Yeah, Martinsville it's one of the tracks that I just remember watching as a kid. For some reason, I have a few that I just have real vivid core memories of watching NASCAR races when I was a fan. My family was a fan. We were fans. And so this is one of them. Now competing against some of my heroes that I watched race, or now they're directors and they're different things with other teams, and I'm competing against their cars is pretty wild. But yeah, I do know that we have a small blip in the history of it, but I want more. I don't want that to be my legacy here. So we work on that, and but there's no way we're going to get in and out of Virginia here without talking about it. So and then for Texas, my allegiance there is Al Neese. It's the truck team I drive for. He lives down just outside of Austin, small town and out in the country. And although Dallas-Fort Worth is a long ways away, he has trucks there. He has a yard there that he rents and sells water trucks and fuel lube trucks. So learning his business and learning his way of life, the Texas way of life of those cowboys out there is just so cool. And he has a lot of people, and we have a lot of people. It's a huge market for us, and ton of opportunity. Racetrack wise, of course, we all wish we could do more there. I wish I could pass more. It's truly one of the hardest tracks to pass, in my opinion. So it makes, when I get a pass done, I like sometimes physically celebrate in the car on the next straightaway because I just did it. I did the what I thought was impossible. Timing that out, and then as it ages, hopefully it opens up a little bit more and more. But we'll see. Yep.
Up next is Zach.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Ross, not every week practice falls at the same time as what you guys are going to race. So what can you learn from today's session? I know this track particularly, the way it rubbers up changes a lot of how the car will react, but what can you learn from the 20-minute session that you guys have today?
Hopefully how to go fast. I mean, I just want to make speed today. I want to obviously you want to make it early in the run, and hang on to it in practice, and it needs to drive good, but it just needs to make speed. That's all it really matters. I'll hang on, I'll bounce, I'll do whatever I have to do, as long as I'm making speed. And then same with qualifying. Like Saturday is just about that. I have all day tomorrow. I have 500 laps to settle in and make my tires live, make my brakes, all that, choose cone, pit road, all that. That's for then. It's all about getting up and getting going here. That's something that I've struggled with. I just haven't really struggled to tie lap together, put my speed where I need to around the track. So that's all I think about, as I've kind of keep learning how to get better here. It seems to be a way that helps me. So it's cool that it's a great time, but honestly Sunday is so far away, it might as well be a different event. Today's all about Saturday and the practice qualifying, those 2 hours being locked in and ready to rip.
Are there any more questions for Ross? We'll go back to John Newby.
John Newby, NBC Sports. So you mentioned the campfire back there. I was curious, can you take me back to that moment? What was your reaction when you saw that glimpse of his big plans? And then at this point, are you shocked by anything he does?
That one was shocking. I'll be honest. I don't have a grasp of what MotoGP is, and didn't for sure then. I knew they came to America a few times, but I'll be honest. I don't travel outside of the country much. A few trips down to Guatemala for look at some watermelon fields for our winter watermelons that we bring in. But other than that, I just don't go anywhere else. So he had to explain the basics to me and explain how the team operated, and then they obviously operate a lot different than us. So I think he's been over there, insulating himself into the team to learn how they operate, kept a lot of their team together, best I can tell. Be a better question for Justin, but we had a lot of questions, but more just a lot of, I want to meet him in person and talk to him, so I get to do that this Tuesday. But not surprised. It's he let me in on it, early on, and I got to do some Googling before it all came out.
We're going to end with Bob.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. After some of the controversy last week on the restart, are you clear kind of where you can and can't restart from? And is it just a matter of, look, everybody's going to do what they've done, and when you'll race to the way NASCAR officiates it?
Yeah, we run to the rule book, and although the rule book says certain things, the officiating has not lined up with that in the past. So we all knew it. I'm not surprised by the call. I'm not surprised by the move by the cars involved at the front of the field. Not saying I'm going to do the same thing, because if everybody just goes early, then there is no advantage. So the advantage is doing what your competitors beside you and behind you don't expect. So I don't expect just all restarts to fire in turn 3 this weekend by any means. But there's 2 lines for a reason, and we know that. It's the scary part is when do the reactionary calls change, right? When is that a penalty at the end of the race, or on lap 10 or 30 or 300, like it was talked about? Being that first guy that gets called for going the same distance early would be tough. That'd be tough to swallow. So if they want to rein it in, they can. There's clearly 2 white lines on the track. If they want the zone to be in the zone, I mean, how the rule is written, if they want to enforce their rule, great. If they don't want to enforce it, like we have not enforced it for the last little bit, I don't know how long I would even call that, but it's up to them, and I'll adjust. I just want a rule book and an address to go race at. Like, other than that, tell me where to be and what the rules are, and we'll go race. That's all I care about.
All right. Thank you so much, Ross, and good luck this weekend.
All right, there's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.